the walkie-talkie crackles to life, and for the first time in the history of the MonsterVerse, two versions of the same man are speaking to each other across decades of time. At the end of Monarch, Legacy of Monsters Season 2 Episode 6, Wyatt Russell and Kurt Russell finally share a scene, sort of. As old Lee Shaw and Dr. Suzuki open a rift at MT Saros, a voice comes through the transmission. It is the younger Lee Shaw from 1958. This is the moment that changes everything we thought we knew about the physics of this world. It is no longer just about giant monsters or time dilation in Axis Mundi. We are looking at full-blown time travel, and the implications for the Randa family and Monarch are absolutely staggering. Before we begin, this breakdown contains heavy spoilers for Monarch, Legacy of Monsters Season 2 Episode 6, titled Requiem. I am your host for Review, and today we are breaking down an episode that serves as a massive turning point for the second half of this season. Requiem is an episode of high emotional stakes and confusing continuity shifts that might just rewrite the history of Godzilla and Kong. We are seeing the fallout of Hiroshi Randa's death, the introduction of a major new player from Apex Cybernetics, and a plan to use the King of the Monsters as a targeted weapon. But the real question is, did Monarch, Legacy of Monsters just break its own reality? By the end of this video, you will understand how a single conversation between two versions of Lee Shaw might have just painted the writers into a narrative corner that they will have to fight to get out of. The Ghost of Skull Island. We start 2 weeks before Kate and Keiko were rescued from Axis Mundi. We are back on Skull Island, and we see Kentaro sketching Kong. It is a brief but fantastic moment seeing the Titan in his natural element, grazing the jungles before roaring at the young Randa. This leads to a quiet, beer-fueled conversation between Kentaro and his father, Hiroshi. Hiroshi reveals a fascinating bit of lore here. During his travels to Alaska after G-Day, he fell into an Axis Mundi rift and did not wake up in Africa until a year later in Earth time. This setup is crucial because it reminds us that the Randa family is defined by these rifts. Hiroshi admires the sketch, a rare moment of bonding before the tragedy we saw in the previous episode. The Military Path of 1958. The 1958 storyline returns after a long absence, and the production design remains a highlight. We see young Bill Randa and Keiko Randa moving into the Monarch offices. Young Lee Shaw stops by to toast their success but drops a bombshell. He is not joining them. Instead, he is transferring to General Puckett's staff in DC. We later find out the truth when Lee visits his father, Colonel Leland Shaw II. Lee confesses the transfer is because of his feelings for Keiko. He wants to protect the work Bill and Keiko are doing without his personal emotions getting in the way. It is a moment of integrity that, as we see in the present day, eventually curdles into something much darker. A funeral and a falling out. In the present, Kate, Kentaro, Keiko, and old Lee Shaw attend the funeral of Hiroshi. The grief is palpable, but it manifests as anger. Kate tries to open up to Kentaro about her strange connection to Titan X, but Kentaro lashes out. He is spiraling. However, the gloom is broken by the return of Dr. Suzuki, the inventor of the Titan phone. Old Lee Shaw suggests they all head to Suzuki's home, affectionately called Zooks, to regroup. It is a brief respite, but the peace does not last long once the wine starts flowing and the plans start forming. The gentrification of sodas. May skips the funeral, fearing she is not welcome, and finds Kentaro at his apartment. They head to a whiskey bar called Sodas, but it has been gentrified. They are drinking blue raspberry whiskey sours while May tries to remind Kentaro of the sweet guy he used to be, the one who brought her ramen and watched the Back to the Future trilogy with her when she had the flu. Kentaro leans in for a kiss, but May declines. This leads to a stinging accusation from Kentaro. He claims May is actually in love with Kate. May does not deny it. She leaves him there, and honestly, seeing Ren Wadabe play Kentaro as a bitter jerk is a refreshing change of pace for the character. If you are enjoying how this season is handling these messy relationships, hit that subscribe button to keep up with all our review breakdowns. The daughter of Apex. While drinking alone, Kentaro meets a woman played by Amber Midthunder. They play a drinking game using G-Day news footage. She eventually reveals she knows Kentaro has seen a Titan, introducing herself as Isabel Simmons. This is where the continuity gets tricky. She claims to be the daughter of Apex Cybernetics CEO Walter Simmons. For those keeping track, Walter already had a daughter, Maya Simmons, in Godzilla vs. Kong. Isabelle seems to be an entirely separate character, which raises some questions about how many daughters this man has and why they have never mentioned each other. Kentaro, feeling betrayed by Monarch and his family, tells Isabelle to prove him wrong, seemingly jumping ship to Apex. Project Hourglass 2.0. Back at the Suzuki residence, we get the technical breakdown of why things went wrong in the past. Dr. Suzuki explains that Project Hourglass failed because he did not factor in the time dilation of Axis Mundi. Old Lee Shaw has a dangerous idea. If they correct those calculations, could they use the Hourglass device to call Godzilla and direct him to a target? He wants to use Godzilla to take down Titan X. Kate and Keiko are horrified. They object on moral and ethical grounds, but Old Lee Shaw is resolute. He views the relationship with Titans as us versus them. And as he says, all that matters is who wins. The father's shadow. This us versus them mentality is mirrored perfectly in the 1958 flashback. Lee's father, Colonel Leland Shaw II, forces Lee to breakfast and reveals he has pulled strings to have Lee reassigned as a military advisor in Vietnam instead of working for Puckett. The colonel lashes out, saying there is nothing to understand about Titans. They just want to destroy humanity. He uses the exact same phrase, who wins? This parallel is fantastic writing. We see the exact moment the younger Lee punches a hole in a wall in frustration, only to eventually become the very man his father wanted him to be. It is a tragic evolution of a character we have grown to love. The transmission from the past. The episode concludes with two massive reveals. First, Kate and Keiko conduct tests on the signals Kate has been receiving from Titan X. They manage to create a transmission that reveals a clear tone of fear and panic. Titan X isn't just a predator. It is afraid. Second, we have the rift at MT Saros. Old Lee Shaw and Dr. Suzuki open the rift, and Shaw nearly gets sucked in. After they cut the power, the walkie-talkie speaks. It is young Lee Shaw from 1958. This is the first time we see the Wyatt Russell and Kurt Russell versions of the character interact. Requiem is a strong start to the second half of the season, even if the time travel elements feel like a bit of a stretch. We saw Kong on Skull Island, a Godzilla nightmare in Tokyo, and the emotional fracturing of the Randa family. The show is balancing the human drama with the massive scale of the MonsterVerse, but it is starting to feel the pressure of its own ambitions. The us versus them mentality of Old Lee Shaw is a sharp turn into antagonist territory that I did not see coming. Why do you think young Lee Shaw's voice is coming through the rift now? Is it just a transmission, or is a physical crossover coming? Let me know in the comments. That is it for our breakdown of Requiem. If you like this deep dive into Monarch, make sure to like and subscribe to Review. We have plenty more MonsterVerse content on the way. See you in the next one.